there, this is Jason Dodd from PM Perspective, the resource that transforms average workers into corporate superstars. In today's video, we're covering a foundational topic. What is a project manager, and what do they do? But before I get into any of that, let's talk about you. As you clicked on this video link, you probably were asking yourself, what have I gotten myself into? You see, most of the people who are out there searching for information on project management are doing so because they've been assigned a project to manage, and after the excitement of being recognized for their skill and hard work has worn off, they're faced with the reality. Succeed, and your career will be elevated to lofty heights. Fail, however, well, that's a prospect that scares us too much to consider. If you're in this situation, then I'm glad you clicked on this video. Over the next couple of minutes, we'll not only give you some much-needed clarity on what is expected of a PM, but we'll also uncover the secret to becoming one of the elite few PMs whose talents are valued and sought after. And if you stick around, at the end of this video, after you've learned about what's most important, we'll show you how you can download all of the templates you'll need to manage a project, and you can download them for free. Okay, so let's get started. So what does a project manager do? It's at this point where most people would start talking about things like kickoff meetings, project schedules, budgets, and charters. But meetings, schedules, budgets, and charters are merely processes and tools. And this is where most PMs get stuck and begin to flounder. Remember that secret I told you about? The secret is this: outcome-focused PMs are more successful than process or tool-focused PMs. PMs who devote all of their time to discovering that magic process or perfect template that they can apply to all projects are doomed to waste a lot of time chasing an ideal that doesn't exist. Anytime I hear someone who speaks in terms of the right way and the wrong way to manage a project, I know I've met one of these marginally successful PMs who fixates on process. To understand the difference between process-focused versus outcome-focused, let's use an analogy. I want you to think of a project manager as you might an automobile mechanic. An experienced mechanic will know many different procedures for bleeding braking systems, performing wheel alignments, or flushing cooling systems. And they'll have a wall full of tools that they can use. But they aren't going to be that successful if they follow the exact same steps and use the same tools for every car they get their hands on. It isn't until the car arrives in the garage that they know what needs to be done for that particular car. Projects are the same. Each project you manage will require a different approach, depending on the scope, the particular objectives, and the people involved. A process or tool used successfully in one project will probably fall flat and fail to yield the same results in another project. A great PM is one who, when faced with a new project, focuses on the outcomes that they need to produce, and they carefully craft a process and select the tools that will produce those outcomes. So if outcomes are the most important thing for PMs to focus on, then what are they? Grab your pen and paper, because I'm going to list them here before we get into them. An outcome-focused PM must guarantee objectives, recruit and motivate people, they need to build strategies and plans, they control project execution, they detect and resolve issues with their project team, they ensure quality, and they mitigate risk. Obviously, we could talk about each of these for hours on end and still only scratch the surface. But for this video, I'm going to complete a quick overview of each outcome to give you an idea as to what each of these things are. First, let's talk about what it means to guarantee objectives. What I mean by this is that the PM must guarantee that the objectives of the project are achievable. Usually, when a PM is assigned to a project, some executive will establish the parameters for the project. They'll say something like, "We want you to build a bridge over Mystic River." That's the scope. It needs to be done by the end of June. That's your time. And your budget is $2 million. And there's your cost. Those three variables, scope, time, and cost, are inextricably related. We call them the iron triangle of project management. The relationship can be expressed using a simple algebraic equation, such as a plus b equals c. You can plug values into the equation at random, but only certain combinations will evaluate correctly. When executives decide upon the scope, time, and budget, in many cases, these three factors weren't derived from careful analysis and planning. They were literally picked out of the sky. It's possible that the stated scope, time, and cost don't evaluate properly. A good PM will confirm that all three work together before starting project execution. If the expected scope, time, and cost don't add up, it's the PM's responsibility to discuss options with company leaders before any execution starts. Don't get caught in the trap that so many PMs fall victim to, where they believe it isn't their responsibility to validate that their boss, client, or customer have realistic expectations. If your first reaction is to simply do what you've been told, you may have failed before you even began, and no one will thank you for it. Now, moving on to recruiting and motivating people. Another thing a project manager does is make sure that the right people are involved in the project. A PM needs to recruit talented people to implement the change delivered by a project, and they also need to influence the people who will be affected by the change that the project team implements. Getting everyone committed to achieving a common goal isn't easy because people are naturally averse to change. This is where a PM must rely heavily on their influencing skills. We don't have time to dive deeply into the topic of influence, but I'll give you a quick tip. To get everyone committed to achieving project objectives, you must find a way to tie a little string from the objective to the hearts of each team member. To do that, you need to understand what is important to your team members and stakeholders. A useful exercise for discovering how to motivate others is to do some soul-searching yourself. Why do you care so passionately about this project? Now, you might be saying to yourself, I wouldn't say that I'm passionate about the project. If you aren't quite feeling the passion yet, I have a little trick for you. Ask yourself why until you've uncovered the base reasons for the project. So here's an example of what I mean. If your project is to build a system to meet some regulatory requirement, you might think, well, there's nothing emotionally stimulating about that at all. Who cares about compliance? It's just a necessary evil. No one will be thrilled when we finish this project. But ask why. Why is your company undertaking the project in the first place? Well, so that they don't fail an audit and get fined for not meeting regulatory requirements. Feeling emotional about that? No? Okay, well then ask why again. Why is it important that the company not get fined for meeting regulatory requirements? Well, because if they are fined for not meeting regulatory requirements, the company's clients would find out that the company didn't meet regulations. So are you feeling something about that? Well, perhaps a little. Let's ask why again. Why would it be such a bad thing that the public found out that the company didn't meet regulations? Well, because the regulations are in place to protect our clients, and our clients would feel as though we weren't as concerned about protecting them as we are about taking their money. Well, how do you feel about that? Well, if you're like most people, working for a company with integrity is important to you. Now you've found at least one thing that ties your project's objectives to the heartstrings of your project stakeholders. If you can't get emotionally invested, neither can your stakeholders. Go through this exercise a few more times. Keep asking why until you feel the answer tug at your heart just a little bit, and you'll come up with a handful of reasons why people should be motivated to do their best work. When you kick off the project, you'll be able to explain to everyone why they should care so much about the project, and they may even feel some of that passion that's required for people to do great things. Right, let's move on. The next outcome that a PM should be concerned with is the one people think of most when they talk about project managers: project planning. Once a PM identifies all of the people who participate and who are impacted by the project, the PM works with everyone to define strategies for success and drafts step-by-step plans for achieving objectives. This is easier said than done. Once you've achieved the Herculean task of getting everyone committed to, and maybe even a little passionate about the project objectives, getting a dozen or sometimes even hundreds of people to agree on how to achieve those objectives is never an easy task. And as the PM, you have to find a way to get everyone marching to the beat of the same drum. And you have to do it while having no real authority over anyone involved in the project. Once you and your team have plans in place, the next thing you have to do is control project execution. The PM uses observation, analysis, and a number of tools to determine whether or not the team is on track and will deliver the expected results on the agreed-upon date. Throughout the project, a PM will check in with team members to see if they're reaching agreed-to milestones at the right times. They will monitor costs to see if money is being spent at the expected pace. And they will watch and listen carefully to all stakeholders to detect if things are not going according to plan. Which brings us to the next outcome, detecting and resolving issues. When things don't go according to plan, you have what we call in PM lingo an issue. A good PM can identify an issue out on the horizon, often long before anyone sees it coming. Proactive PMs latch onto these issues and work with the team to address any issues that might impact the team's ability to deliver on objectives. Early detection and quick resolution of issues is key to project success. Many different skills are required to efficiently detect and triage issues, but the most effective way to detect issues is to manage by walking around and listen intently. At times, the only evidence you have that something is going wrong is the look of uncertainty on a team member's face as they report their progress to you. Miss this subtle cue, and rather than proactively dealing with issues, they'll sneak up on you and attack you when you least expect them to. So it's important for PMs to be very involved with their team members. They must get to know them and interact with them as often as possible. This means getting out from behind the monitor and keyboard, getting out there and talking to people as much as you can. We call this managing by walking around, and it's your number one tool for detecting issues. Once an issue is detected, the skill that you will rely on most in dealing with issues is the art of negotiation. So when everything is on track and the team is cranking out deliverables, it's time for the PM to put on their quality hat and ensure quality. An outcome that PMs are responsible for but often overlook is the assurance that project deliverables are of the right quality and meet the requirements. PMs should think of themselves as an expediter in a busy 5-star restaurant. If you aren't familiar with what an expediter does, what they do is they're in charge of organizing the various parts of the meal by table back in the kitchen as they're being made, so that the entire order goes out to the table as soon as everything is ready. Apart from keeping things organized, the expediter garnishes the plates and ensures that the dish looks exactly the way it should. The expediter will send dishes they believe to be substandard back to the kitchen to ensure that the customer always receives what they ordered and a product that meets their quality expectations. PMs play the role of expediter when it comes to organizing and monitoring the quality of the work the project team produces. If a deliverable is found to be substandard, it's the PM's duty to send it back to the team to ensure that the right level of quality is met. Which brings us to our final outcome, mitigating risk. Mitigating risk is arguably one of the most important things a PM can do. Even if your plan has some gaps, if you're doing a good job in managing risk, there's a good chance your project team will deliver expected results. It's helpful to not think of risk as an isolated activity. You consider risks as you select people and build your project team. Risks dictate various aspects of your project plan. Issues are usually the result of risks that haven't been addressed. Risks can dictate how you control project execution and how closely you monitor project quality. When you manage risk, you figure out what could go wrong and take steps to reduce or eliminate the possibility that the risk will prevent your team from reaching objectives. So this is all we have time for in this video. We'll dive deeper into the steps you can take and the tools you can use to achieve the important outcomes in future videos. Again, to recap, an outcome-focused PM works towards achieving the following. They guarantee objectives, they recruit and motivate people, they build strategies and plans with their team, they control project execution, detect and resolve issues, ensure quality, and they mitigate risk. A PM has so many things to keep track of, it's easy to get distracted and focus on the wrong things. To keep things simple and to stay focused, I recommend you write these 7 outcomes down and hang them on your wall. Make sure whatever processes and tools you're using, you're achieving these outcomes, and you can't go wrong. Remember, put process and tools in their place. Study and collect them, but never become a slave to them. If you stay outcome focused, you'll become more adaptable and flexible, you'll grow faster and learn more from your experience, and you'll become one of the elite few PMs that gets results and are sought after. So, to close off this video, now that you understand that tools are useful, but not the be-all and end-all, I think it's safe to show you how you can download some useful templates that will help you as you manage your projects. If you're a PM Perspective member, simply go to www.pmperspective.com/resources/templates and enjoy. If you aren't a PM Perspective member, to get access to these templates for free, go to www.pmperspective.com/PMVid. That's PMVID. Click the Get Free Instant Access button. Enter your name and email address. Click the Free Instant Access button, and then we'll send you an email confirmation. Once you've clicked on the confirmation link, you'll be directed to the templates page. You can download them and enjoy them. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.